Hey, 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 everybody.
Does that mean we're live?
Yeah, I
What's up,
mean,
Rob?
I don't know. Whatever.
It's good to hear that voice.
Hey.
Oh, hey, hey. Hi. Good morning.
Oh,
Good
hey.
afternoon. It's not, it's right. I
Hi,
can't,
hello.
I'm still like saying good morning every time, but it's good afternoon. I'm sorry.
It is good afternoon. There's like a Truman Show reference in there, but I can't remember how he actually says it. In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Is that it?
Something like that.
That's it.
Yeah.
Here you go. Love that movie.
That's a good one.
Hi, welcome back to another lunchtime edition of the Friday Big Bite. Thanks for taking some lunch with us. We're going to give you a nice digest of digital, and this week's theme is pertaining to Black History Month as well as social and how brands are paying tribute and recognizing Black creatives in the industry, specifically social platforms or through social platforms. So without further ado, I think we'll hop right into the sharing, and I think Debo is up first.
Thanks, Andy.
Mr.
So,
Debo.
one thing that I noticed this past month is what brands have been doing on Pinterest and what Pinterest has been doing itself to help celebrate Black excellence. And what they're doing is really showcasing Black excellence across categories with like fashion, beauty, home, food, and travel, and shopping as well. So as you're scrolling through, you might encounter something like this from a Black creator, petite and bold, and it's really cool. You can either go to visit their site, or you can save, or follow them for more creative inspiration. And it's great because you can get this daily feed of culture, history, heroes, and other stuff on your today feed, which is really really nice to have. It's always fresh and new content. These are screenshots from my phone. Going onto the Today tab, you can see people who are sharing their stories and celebrating their pride. And on the right, if you clicked into it, you could see different books, different creators, even just photos of really interesting creators and people who are doing some really interesting stuff. And that goes in line with Pinterest's mission to bring everyone the inspiration to create a life they love. And I think it's important to know that you can't do that, without celebrating Black history and Black creators as well. And this image might be a little bit blurry for you, but one thing they started doing was having businesses start featuring creators and businesses that are at least 51% owned by underrepresented groups to create a more inclusive experience for everyone. So what you can do when you're setting up your business is actually identify what community represents your business, and then that will be reflected in the Pinterest app. So something like this would be seen by users, and you could shop directly Black-owned businesses, and you could advertise within this page as well. So really, really powerful way to show your business and your brand through here. And then just as a bonus thing that Pinterest is doing is they're also doing a digital event for Black History Month, and it's just hosting these inspiring conversations around Black creativity in the digital space, and that's actually on Wednesday next week. So if you're interested in that, it's very cool. I think it's a free event, and you can go and listen to these stories of creators on Instagram, or sorry, creators on Pinterest who are claiming their space and championing their culture. And I can share the link in the YouTube chat so you can see this for yourself and see who's speaking. But a really interesting step that Pinterest has taken this year on social. Yeah.
Way cool. Thanks, man.
Very cool stuff.
I don't have nearly enough experience with Pinterest, I'm realizing. it's it like has evolved so much since I think I took like a precursor look at it
Yeah.
years ago.
It really
I think
has. Oh, go ahead, Debo.
It's a bit overlooked as like a platform for businesses. I think like typically you're thinking about Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter or LinkedIn as like those main places to advertise, but Pinterest has been, silently making like a lot of strides to improve its platform.
And a little factoid that people probably don't realize is that Pinterest is actually one of the highest converting social channels from a paid media perspective. That's we think of Instagram and Facebook first, but Pinterest does have the highest conversion rate amongst that audience.
I had no idea, actually. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Jake, you're right.
Yes.
Sweet.
Rob, are we good to go with my tiny screen size?
More or less, yeah, go for it.
Great. Well, I like to be able to see other things while I'm sharing as well, so I don't want to overwhelm you with such a large window. So I've got 2 shares today. One is on the more positive side, and one is maybe something that we can learn from in the future. So we'll start with the positive. The Twitter design team for Black History Month offered up for Black designers and content strategists to have one-on-one meetings with other Black mentors from the Twitter design team to sort of help them take the next step in their career or figure out, if there's a goal they want to accomplish. So there was a form that they tweeted out, and I thought that this was a really interesting thing for a couple of reasons. The first is that Twitter clearly understands how their platform can be used. I've seen a lot already just organically on Twitter of people reaching out to try to find jobs or to find mentorship in places where that might not exist in their own organizations, or maybe they did a coding boot camp and so they don't really have senior level or executive level mentors that they can reach out to that look like them. So that was just a really great understanding of how people are sort of already using Twitter. And the second thing that I really liked about this was that it just shows that you don't have to try to find these really strong links between things like Black History Month and whatever your brand is. Like, there's always going to be inherent links because Black people exist, and they're employees and they're designers and they're users of social media. So just inherently, if there's going to be a relation, and that is true across, whether you're selling cottage cheese or printer ink, like you can make these connections and you don't have to work so hard to figure out, well, how can we make this related to printers or something like things. There's always going to be a way that you can relate these things back to your business and to your people in a way that is really meaningful and valuable, and not just sort of this blanket Happy Black History Month sort of statement. And on that note, my second share is you may have seen Star Wars had made a post about Black History Month. And of course, they use Finn in their photos, and he's one of the characters. And they sort of got roasted for what they tried to share. They did sort of this 3-tweet thing, and people were just replying, this is not the time for you to talk about Black history. You're not treating your Black characters and your Black actors very well. And so it just sort of came off sort of disingenuous because they're trying to prop up the fact that they had this Black actor and make these statements, but they weren't really backing it up with what they were doing in their franchise. So that's something that's really important as a brand when you start to think of what you're doing for Black History Month. We shared a few weeks ago, Pray Tell had a great article on that. And I found another one here, again, which sort of talks about how to use social media to celebrate Black History Month in the correct way. Definitely don't want to get today's must reads. And one of the things that I really like about that is that internal work can inspire external work. And I think that's really important. Had Star Wars taken the time to first fix what they were doing internally and then be able to amplify that externally on their platforms, I think it would have come off really great. But they didn't do that. They just made an external statement with really no internal work to back that up. And that's why it was left sort of feeling hollow. So there's a lot of other good information in this article, but the main point being just saying something on social media, just having Black people who work for you or who are, in your ads or your stories is definitely not enough. And you need to have that internal work to back it up. And so that's sort of where the difference between something like this comes off as really positive and genuine, and something like this just doesn't feel as great. So
yeah, and there's always opportunity to get smarter and better in that regard. Like just like any other brand or company, like we're still learning and trying to listen and be as proactive as we can while still being good allies as a brand. But it's hard. I'm sure Star Wars the Twitter handle didn't mean to come off as disingenuous or slight, but it's easy to see how they may have thought they were doing something good, but in reality, it completely splashed back at them.
Mm-hmm.
So true. So true. Many thanks, Jake.
Of course. Who's next? Is it
Actually,
Phil?
no, wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Before we move on to the next, one other thing that I do want to take issue with is that, I mean, I understand Finn and everything, and that's cool, but like, why did they also not post something about Lando? I mean,
there's a lot of missteps.
Huge misstep. Huge misstep.
The
in my
Solo
eyes.
movie was
100%.
amazing, and Lando was awesome in that.
Lando is awesome in everything. But yeah, that's it. That's all.
It's like the only one I've seen. I enjoyed it.
Don't say that too loudly or too many times, Phil.
Well, it's the truth. You ready for me, Rob?
I don't know anymore, but yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Feel free.
All right. So switching gears to another social platform and taking a look at what they're doing for Black History Month. We are looking at Instagram, and specifically it's Instagram for Business. And basically what they've done is they started this thing called We Create, and it's been a collaboration between 15 Black creatives in the ad industry, and pairing them with 15 Black-owned small businesses, and with the goal of using Instagram to help elevate their social presence, make everything more engaging, more consistent, and just overall give them elevate their brand on the platform. What I really liked about this, this page here is kind of like a press release for it, but it takes you through the logistics of it, but then there's an overview video that you can watch. I won't play it here, that kind of shows the process of how it all happened. Obviously everyone working remotely, but you can see in just like this thumbnail here, they would do photo shoots, and they would kind of talk on Zoom and go back and forth and collaborate, which I thought was really cool. And then they have these spotlight videos, and I'll play one but keep the sound off so you can just kind of see how it plays out. But basically it's kind of like a mini case study for how it went for a specific brand. And I liked that, as you can see, it's showing like a conversation between the creative as well as the business owner. They talk about the brand and what their goals are, and then they kind of go into the process of the work. And something that struck me about all of this was that it reminded me a lot of what we're doing with Neighborhood, and how we're trying to help Black-owned our community. And what I liked about this is that the designer or photographer, whoever it was that was working with the business owner, they would make sure to create assets that were repeatable and customizable. So it was almost like creating an Instagram system for them to use, whether it's in feed or stories, but really elevating their organic via Instagram page. You can also click into each of these case studies to learn a bit more. Again, it'll tell you about the brand. There's 15 of them to go through, so I went through a bunch of them earlier this week, and it was just a great source of information. I mean, beyond the fact that they're doing this in an effort to help elevate Black-owned businesses, small businesses. It was really just a good example of, using social media specific to Instagram and how you can take advantage of what they offer already, making attractive looking grids to help increase the number of followers, having specific layouts for things that may be a quote, or you can see how in this one they have like a Venn diagram situation that is repeatable, but they can update the text, and everything is contextual to the brand. So a lot of great stories that you guys can look through when we share this out.
Beautiful.
That's it.
Awesome.
Hope everyone's still there. There
Thanks,
they are.
man. Much obliged.
Love that. All right, I'm going to take over here real quick. Can you all see my screen?
Sure can.
All right, I'm going to start doomy and then get a little bit more illume. Illume? Right? Happy? Yeah. So I want to talk a bit about machine learning algorithms and how they may present bias, even if it's intended, unintended, or whatever. So on Twitter, and this was later last year, they have a cropping algorithm, right? That if the image is too portrait or too landscape, it'll crop it algorithmically via some neural network that machine learns. It's kind of cool, but it's also kind of flawed. So as you can tell, there's 4 white males on screen, right? So if I click into each of these pictures, you'll see that it's not just white males in the image. And you may think, okay, it's just cropping to the top. Well, let's click on this one. The white dude's at the bottom. So it's not just cropping to the top, it's literally cropping to the white dude.
I like the comments on these tweets.
Oh, it's like a lot of F words. Let's put it that way. So yeah, and this just repeats itself. Tons of different people testing different images, different suits, cartoons. Does it work for cartoons? Fucking, of course it does.
Come on.
Yeah. Does it work for dogs? What do you think? Of course it does.
Oh, come on. What?
Does it work for a turtle? Or sorry, does it work for turtles? Of course it does. Right? So like, then people are saying, oh, it's got to be the tie, right? Let's change the color of the tie. Nope, that doesn't matter. Inverse the skin tone. That did it, right? So even though Obama's at the bottom, if you inverse the skin tones, he appears in the preview. So super fucked up. And obviously this doesn't just manifest in machine learned cropping algorithms. There's a couple other, predictive algorithms, healthcare algorithms that these kind of biases are built into, unfortunately. And it's, I think a lot of work needs to be done to address and reverse these. A lot of people are calling on Twitter to let the user crop the image. So, and it doesn't just apply to like skin tone, right? It could be, and they're saying this algorithm has to account for objects, scenery and stuff like that. So it's got to be able to crop any image in a proper way. But yeah, people are definitely resistant to that and saying, just let us crop the image. We know what we want to preview in this image. So just let us do it. And if we don't, then take it away to machine learning. That's fine. And this may relate to some of our clients, right? If we're posting imagery on social media, it's definitely worth throwing it into a sandbox environment first, testing it, making sure it's cropped properly. It doesn't present any offensive, biases.
That's a great point, Jeff, because you could see how a creative team could labor over making the right image selection and putting whatever on it, and then you pop it in the feed and it just crops and resizes and kind of prioritizes on its own completely without that intent. So it just kind of reinforces the need for QA, as you're saying, either in a sandbox environment or immediately after posting live, just to validate.
Definitely. And not just social posts, like QA everything. It doesn't matter what it is. You should check it. There's the turtle again. All right. So Temi Coker, a Nigerian-born Texas resident, talk about adversity recently. He was a resident for Adobe for a year. He did a lot of really cool work, including this AT&T Dream in Black campaign. I don't know if my sound is on, but this campaign is super cool, and it showcases a bunch of prominent Black figures in, social, professional environments, and it celebrates them. And this was the campaign that Temi did for social, to kind of tie into this other campaign that AT&T did that was not on social. And just the vibrancy and the celebration of all of these portraits are incredible.
These
I would
are
say that's an
absolutely
understatement.
beautiful.
And he draws a lot of his inspiration from just the Nigerian culture and the vibrancy of their, the clothing. So just some inspiration, a really well done campaign. Temi Coker.
That's so cool, dude.
Ending happy was a little bit of inspiration.
I love it.
Yeah, that's gorgeous, man. That looks incredible.
Thank you.
But it was a good example of how I saw this on social, and I knew nothing of the campaign, and it drove me to obviously research the campaign further through AT&T's Dream in Black. And that's pretty much all I got.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Those are absolutely gorgeous.
It's amazing.
Wow.
It's eye-catching, and obviously the nature of social media is very digestible, and dense, right? You can fit a ton of these images in a single scroll, and that'll catch your eye, especially the vibrancy of the color.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whew. Beautiful. Courtney is absolutely right. Very stunning. Quite.
She usually is, right?
The right word for it. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, I think that about covers it. We got 3 minutes left if you guys want us to, sing a song together, but you probably don't want that, so.
With this latency.
With the delay, by the time we get
Yeah.
the request, the 3 minutes will be up. So unfortunately, don't think it's in the cards for today.
No, I suppose not.
But we are totally taking requests for whatever song you want Rob and Jake to sing a duet of next week. That's how we'll open the show.
Absolutely.
My internet's going to be out next week, I think. So.
I'm definitely going to be sick that morning. Afternoon. Shoot.
That's right, afternoon. Well, I guess that's it for today. Thank you again for spending your lunch with us. Hope you got some value out of this, and look for a recap a little later in the day.
Cheers, y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great weekend, guys.